And welcome to Illini Drive here on WPGU 1071, 6 o'clock on the dot. We haven't started many shows 6 o'clock on the dot, but here we are, 6 o'clock on the dot. First thing for all you people on UPTV, trying to see, you can see this this big air conditioning tent here. It's not really in tent form, but
it's an air tube. It's a ventilation tube.
It's a ventilation tube. There's a little air conditioner down here that is off. Apparently, it was really hot here, Will, on Friday for all in Illini.
Oh yeah, it was like 100 degrees in the studio.
It has been for like the last 3 weeks.
It hasn't been that.
It's been really hot.
Okay. But so disregard that. Watch us, listen if you would like. Ori Benatar here with Will Gerard, Jake Hassan, and Tommy Polson. Before we play our special interview with Lou Henson that Will and I did on Friday, a little storytelling. Pretty funny thing happened before we were going to Lou's house. So Will had gotten an Uber to pick me up from my apartment. I get into the car. We're driving to Lou's house, and then we find out that the guy who's driving us has known Lou Henson for 40+ years, right?
Yeah, we had Big Al Kurtz, a former member of the Champaign County Board, a campus business owner, and I guess it kind of just goes to show just how small this community is in some ways, that just sometimes you can randomly encounter an Uber driver that would know, a legendary head coach such as Lou. So he came in with us. He was super excited. He hadn't talked to Lou in a while.
Yeah, he started a Subway chain called Blimpie.
Yeah, Blimpies.
And he decided to kind of back off from it once Jimmy John's and Subway kind of started, taking over in terms of how many stores they had. So they served some marine sandwiches, salads. He said that he had, Kendall Gill, Nick Anderson. He knows them very well, had them at his restaurant to eat sandwiches during the golden ages, the Flying Illini years while Lou Henson was coaching here. Yeah, and then we went into the house.
There's an orange door.
Orange door, yeah. You can't miss it. And then there was a Christmas tree in April. And it was all Illini decorated. It had a big Illini, North Star at the top, jersey decorations, all kinds of stuff. And Mary, I think, Lou's wife said that they light it up every time Illinois wins. So they've got plenty of Illini memorabilia. There's the Illini room that Mary showed us after the interview, but we'll play the interview for you and then tell you a little bit more about our experience. So here it is, Will and I's interview with Lou Henson from Friday. Welcome to Illini Drive here on WPGU 1071. Ori Benatar and Will Gerard sitting here with Lou Henson in his home. Lou, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I've had some health issues for the last year and a half or 2 years. Some before that, but some major here lately. But I'm doing pretty well.
So I guess just generally, what kind of health complications have you had recently?
And the last 3 months, I've really had some problems. I've read some problems. What happened, my right lung, they x-rayed, they found out that they had different things wrong in there. Well, so they go in there, and I have 3 diseases, and so they had to take all that stuff out. And I was in the hospital for a month, getting all that done. But then when I got out, I had a vocal problem. And I talked to them. They thought, well, it's going to be okay. I waited and waited, and I still have it, but not all the time. But we'll go back and see the doctor again.
Yeah, is it frustrating for you encountering that vocal problem? How do you communicate with Mary then? Do you have to
I try
write
not
sometimes?
to. I can still holler and scream.
I think she didn't hear that one.
Why do you choose to stay in Champaign? I mean, most retired folks go somewhere where it's warm. What's so special about this community to you?
Well, many years ago, I got a call from Cecil Coleman, who is athletic director, and wanted me to come for an interview. Would you believe that afternoon, Wade Walker, the AD at Oklahoma, called and wanted me to come in. And I said, well, I'm going to Illinois. He said, you come here, then go there. And we'll set up, and you come and visit your folks around Tulsa, and you stay 2 or 3 days, visiting with them, then come on in for the interview. Well, of course, I was offered the job, and so anyway, so here, Mary and I talked about now, Oklahoma, here's what they have. They have a coach who just wants the pros. Most guys are coming back. They have all the money they need. I know a lot of people in Oklahoma. It's fantastic. Now here is Illinois. Illinois has been in NCAA in 24 years. They've had bad teams for several years, and really the high school coaches are against Illinois, and it would really be a problem. But I say, you think about it, and tomorrow I'm going to ask you the question, see what you want. And so I got up here, I said, okay, now I've told you about the two schools, so what do you think? She said, Illinois. Now she grew up in the state of Illinois. So guess who has the ball? She found that out. She does.
So would you say that is Mary then the reason why you stay here then, and because of her family in Illinois? Is that why?
Well, one thing about it, I think it's going to work out. And my family was around there. It may have been a good thing to get away from them.
What do you think was the biggest thing to get used to going from New Mexico to here?
Well, there's really, the community is about the same size. Los Cruces is a little over 100,000. And really, this school is pretty similar to New Mexico State.
Along those lines, one thing that both me and Ori talked about before this interview that you want to discuss is how was recruiting back when you were coaching, and how much do you think it's really changed over the years?
Well, some of it hasn't changed, but a lot of it has. Now, when I was coaching, we worked with the high school coaches, but the high school the recruiters and the people and certain people, they don't even go to high school. They don't even talk to high school coaches. They just go right to the recruits. So it's between this guy or guys and the student or students, and the coaches are out of it, and that's not good. We like the coaches. They're there to help you, and it's much better when it was that way.
I guess another thing that I'm curious your opinion about is the new phenomenon of one and done in college basketball. You play a freshman year at Kentucky or Kansas, sometimes at Illinois, and you go to the NBA. What do you think of that?
Oh, I don't like it.
No?
I've never liked it because these students, and I know I've talked to so many coaches and all, they enroll the second semester, and they're going to pass. And so they're going to get the grades. They probably won't go to school very much of the time. No, it's a very bad rule. It needs to be changed.
Gotcha. Recently you were inducted to the Hall of Fame. I mean, when you first came here to coach, did you ever imagine that one day you'd receive that honor? And what does it mean to you, to have the court named after you?
Yeah, I never dreamed that. Of course, I started down on high school level. First 6 years I taught math and coached sports more than basketball. And I started at the bottom, and I know I never thought I'd be at the University of Illinois or New Mexico State.
Gotcha. One thing that you really established at Illinois is the orange blazer, a tradition that has extended beyond to now, even where Brad Underwood's wearing today. I mean, can you tell me about where that inspiration came from to start wearing the orange blazer? I know you also started the Orange Crush around that same time as well.
First of all, what happened on that, Mary and I found out we had no support. The students wouldn't come out. We had no support in town. The first game we had, it was exhibition games, but they had been there. If it were a regular game, we had 3,000 people here. So we knew we had to do something. So we had to create some more enthusiasm. So in this house, we had a couple of students in, and we told them we wanted to start the Orange Crush. And they agreed, so there were 7 of them. And they worked hard to get it going. And we gave out 60 orange jerseys or shirts. But maybe 10% of them came to the game. Wouldn't even come to the game anyway. But anyway, we worked, and they worked, and we got it going. And it's the best student organization in the USA. It's fantastic. It's hard to believe what these students do now. So we're really proud of that. And what happened, we want that. You look in the stands, there'd be very little orange. As a matter of fact, a lot of people want us to go blue rather than orange. People were really high on the blue at that time. But you see very little orange, and so we got that going now. It's full of orange.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the basketball team now?
Well, last year I think we had a pretty good team. We were unfortunate to lose some games that we've lost, games at the end. So we don't have many coming back from that team, but I think they're good. The recruits are good. So we should have a good ball club this year.
What kind of relationship do you have with the current coaching staff? Have you met with them at all?
Oh, yeah. I like the coaching staff, and we don't get a chance to visit a lot, but I'm behind them 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing I'm curious to ask you about, so you watched most of the NCAA tournament this year, I'm guessing?
I watch every game I can.
Every game you can. So what did you think about Loyola's run and Sister Jean and that hype around her?
I coached in Illinois when Loyola was nothing. I remember them like they were before they got hot. And so they won a game. The first 2-3 games they just won by 1, 2, or 3 points. And I kept thinking they'd get knocked out in the first game, and it stayed in there. And then we got the Final Four. Then, hey, they have to be good.
Yeah.
And they were good enough that if things didn't go right for the other team, they could have been in the championship game. Mm-hmm. They were really good. Their offense was sophisticated. It was a team offense, and one of the best ball handling and cutting teams I've seen. Tremendous job of coaching.
Mm-hmm. One team that a lot of people sort of see as a team that Illinois should try and emulate to is Michigan. What did you think of the way Michigan played in the tournament, and what can Illinois do to play basketball the way they did this past tournament?
Well, there's no question. Berlin is a tremendous coach, and I followed his teams when he's in West Virginia. I followed his teams all the time. He's an excellent coach, and so that would be one team to follow, and there are others. There are other good teams, but I'll tell you, I watched them play. I saw Michigan win. Did you see the game where they were down 2 points, and they had to go the length of the floor? Okay, so now most coaches would throw the ball in and throw it to this guy, and he'd try to get a shot. Well, what he does with 3 seconds, see, so what they throw it to this guy, and the people are going to run to him to cover him. He throws it to a guy, makes the 3 and wins the ball game. Now that's one of the best plays I've seen with 3 seconds to go.
One thing that I'm starting to recognize during this interview is that you still have a very strong basketball mind. So I was wondering, how much do you think the game has really changed as a whole in the time since you were coaching to today? I know now it's much different. Yeah. It seems like there's a lot of teams just shooting a lot of 3-pointers.
Recruiting has changed a lot. From a coaching point of view, not much because it has been long since I was in the Big Ten and New Mexico State, and you have good coaches, but the coaches have to have good players, and Michigan, he does a great job of coaching, but he does have good players. You're not going to win without the players.
Back when you were recruiting, because obviously nowadays centers and power forwards, you need to know how to shoot the 3, because everyone needs to know how to shoot the 3. How often did you see a center or power forward when you were recruiting be able to shoot from
Okay,
distance?
now see, back then we didn't realize how valuable a 3-point shot was. So we worked on it every day, and most of the later years, after it came in, I did not have really good 3-point shooters. But what we do, when we start practicing, say October the 15th, every day we shoot the 3s, and we record them, and we tell the players, now you proved to us in the 6 weeks of fall that they're 3-point shooters. So we get a list of the guys, and the ones who can shoot the 3, we let them know. The others, they can't shoot the 3.
So they had to earn the right to shoot 3-pointers?
They had to do it in the fall.
Yeah.
And let us know, because if you can't shoot the 3 and you shoot the 3s, you're not going to win. You got to have your good shooters shooting the 3, and they have to take good shots.
Do you think all the 3-pointers that teams are taking is sort of eliminating how to appreciate a big man playing down low? Because you don't see that as often anymore, especially in the college game.
Well, look at the pros. In the pros, all of the teams, they have about one inside post guy. They recruit the 7-footers who can play outside. Seeing what that does, if all of you can play outside, look at the driving. Look at the driving. And the best way to win a ball game, you got to get to the basket. Because if you drive, you get fouled. If you drive and they try to help you, pitch it to somebody else. So it's so good example. You see the pros, hey, they're getting what post minute because it's better to get people who can play outside.
Just to pivot in a different direction here a little bit, one thing that my instructor, Gene McDonald, has talked about a lot is how you have a close friendship with Lauren Tate and how that's a little unconventional, for a coach to be so close to someone from the press. Can you kind of tell me, about your friendship with him?
It wasn't very friendly at first. I mean, I got along with Lauren okay, but he wrote maybe a few negative, but not many. I think he's a tremendous writer, and I like Lauren, and we've been very close for a long time.
One question I want to cover here, I don't think we've gotten to it yet, is early on in your career, one major move that you did, and this was kind of ahead of the time in terms of it was really progressive of you you made sure that Hardin-Simmons University was integrated back in 1962. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what that looked like back then, the discussions you had with the athletic director?
Okay, I was coaching in high school, and of course we had black players all the time, and so Hardin-Simmons called, and they wanted me to come down for an interview, so I agreed to do that. So we went down, and with the athletic council, the board, I met with them for probably 3 hours in the afternoon. And they said, well, Coach, we think you're the guy for the job. We'll give it to you. I said, there's one problem that I have right now is you don't have black players. And I would not come unless you were integrated. And back in Texas, when I told them about that, they started rolling their eyes. They couldn't believe that I made that statement. So they wouldn't have anything to do with it. But I guess what happened, they went to the Board of Trustees, and they decided to do it. See, that board, athletic board, they couldn't make that decision. And they didn't want to make that decision because they hadn't been around blacks at all. And I'll tell you a story that I wouldn't want this in print. The secretary at Hardin-Simmons is about 50 or 55, and I liked her a lot. And when we had the first day of practice, she said, "Look, would it be okay if I come in and watch practice?" And I said, "Sure, come in. We'd like to have you." So we had practice. She was standing over there, and within 5 minutes, she was gone. And then they said, "Why did you lie? I thought you wanted to watch practice." You know what she said? She said, "Lou, I just couldn't stand to see our players out there with," and she used the word. Now that was, back then, that far south, it was a big problem because we couldn't feed them in restaurants. We'd have to go drive in or something like that or take lunch.
Yeah, so what kind of adversity did you encounter then having black players on your team while you were playing in the South?
Okay, when I got the job, Ole Miss and Mississippi State would not take black players, so I go into the state. And we recruited 3 out of the state. One turned out to be a superstar. Now that really helped us. That really helped us to integrate, to have a star player, a little All-American, shoot, he'd make any shot that he'd try. And on campus, not at all. Off of the campus, a little bit, a few things that I didn't like, but not much, and we handled it okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure the players got a few calls also.
Who are some players that you still talk to that you coached back in the day? Or, do you have any personal favorites?
This guy here, you remember the guy you just met? Mm-hmm. He was a player for me, and he helped me coach here, Dick Nagy. So he's one, and we have a guy and a couple of guys in Chicago that played for me, and they're scattered all over. But of course, none of them are in coaching now, but a lot of them are successful. I still pull for the Illini.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yes.
It was really to have you.
Thank you very much.
Be able to talk to you in your home.
You're watching Illini Drive on Urbana Public Television. Tune in Monday nights at 6 p.m. to listen live on WPGU 107.1.
Cousins Vive Vampire Weekend there as we return to Illini Drive on WPGU 107.1. Ori Benatar returning with Will Gerard, Jake Hassan, and Tommy Polson. You just heard Will and I's interview with Lou Henson. What an amazing experience that was, going to his home. And there's some other fun stuff that we noticed in the house and some interesting people there, too.
Yeah, so you may have heard in the background, while we were interviewing Lou at their dining room table, Mary was talking to Dick Nagy, who's a former Illinois assistant and father of Scott Nagy, who is the Wright State head coach. Also, it was really cool after the interview. Mary showed us all of their memorabilia in the hallway. She showed this nice frame picture of Lou Henson next to Lou Henson Jr. It was taken by the Chicago Tribune. For those out there who are unaware, Lou Henson Jr. died in a car accident during his first year coaching at Parkland College, but she talked about that being her favorite picture of her son. And there was also some other really cool things she showed us in her memorabilia room, too, if you want to talk about that, Ori.
Yeah, the one I remember specifically, and she pointed it out, too, was a signed picture by Tommy Lasorda shortly after Lou Henson Jr. had passed away, because Tommy Lasorda had a son who passed away also early in life. So apparently they went to a Dodger game, and Tommy and Lou were talking for, a really long time, to the point where they had to go tell Tommy, hey, we got a game. You got to go manage. Like, come on. So that was pretty interesting. Also,
she also talked about some letter that he sent them too. This heartfelt letter that they said. I don't know how long it was. I don't recall exactly. But
I think she said it was probably 3 pages worth. Like, it was really long, and it was really, beautifully written letter, heartfelt, thoughtful, and then also very interesting how Lou Henson's some of his children and grandchildren ended up going to Ohio State. I say I'm from Columbus, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, our kids went from Illini to Buckeyes. And I'm like, that doesn't happen too often. I went from a Buckeye to an Illini somewhat. So that's kind of small world, really. I mean, just in general, that whole experience, just realizing it was a small world. Plus, Mary accidentally called me Oreo, something that I've been very used to for my entire life, which I'm totally fine with. Well, I used to not like it, but
she even took us into this room they had that was just full of memorabilia.
Oh, it was
so much
Oreo
stuff.
Benatar.
Yeah, exactly.
She apologized for it later.
Yeah, she sent me an email about it, and I was like,
I'm never referring to you as anything else
I'm
again.
totally fine with that. I mean, when I was a kid, I really didn't like it because I'm
Just
like,
the way he's
say my
saying
name.
totally, like, does not make me feel like it's
When
totally
I heard
okay.
that, I was like, this must have been like how everyone antagonized Oreo on the playground. He was little, like calling him Oreo.
Yes, I'm not a
Cookie-looking boy.
I'm not not a cookie sandwich.
But yeah, to conclude that, Mary showed us this video that her grandson did for the Players Tribune. Where Isaiah Thomas.
The Book of Isaiah, if you've watched that on the Players Tribune, that's done by Lou's grandson, Lou and Mary's grandson. So it was pretty impressive. I need to watch that whole thing again.
And if you're out there, if you're listening right now, Mary, thanks again for the ride back to campus. That was great.
Yes, we really appreciated that. Mary was actually able to drive us to campus. All right, we're gonna get focused now.
Let's talk about some Illini sports.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
Looking like your grade school lunch snack.
Little mini Oreo over there.
This feels like first grade all over again.
Just wait for when we start talking about the Cavs later too.
Okay.
I'm putting more focus on the blue. I'll put some more focus on the Blue Jackets. All right. Anyway, here's a look at the Illini results from this past weekend. So softball started off with a doubleheader on Thursday against Wisconsin. They lost both of those. On Friday, women's tennis picked up a sweep against Minnesota. Women's volleyball had a match against Illinois State as they continued their spring warm-up. Baseball had an incredible game against Rutgers, a 13-12 win on Friday, followed by a 2-1 win on Saturday, and then winning by a score of 10-4 on Sunday. Lots of games on Saturday. Men's tennis lost to highly ranked Ohio State team. Women's golf was also in Columbus at the Lady Buckeye Invitational. Men's golf got a win against Bradley. Men's track and women's track both finished at first of the Illinois Twilight. Men's tennis and women's tennis swept both yesterday. Men's tennis beating at Penn State. Women's tennis winning at home for Wisconsin. Women's golf actually did come in first at the Lady Buckeye Invitational out of 14 teams with a team score of +3. And women's soccer played a little spring game against Loyola, winning 2-0. Next game coming up is going to be baseball hosting Valparaiso at 6 p.m. at Illinois Field. But another thing that came out today, also the news yesterday that Mark Smith transferred to Missouri. That is confirmed. But in Illini basketball news, the Maui Invitational lineup has been announced for 2018, and we've got 8 teams with that are going to be going to Maui next fall. Illinois will be joined by Arizona, number 4 seed this past tournament. Auburn, also a number 4 seed this past tournament. Duke, who is Duke. Gonzaga, really good, also another number 4 seed last tournament. Iowa State with Taylor Horton Tucker. San Diego State, and Xavier, who is a number 1 seed. Pretty intense field there. How do we think the Illini will fare in a tournament like that?
I think it's way too early to say. I mean, we still don't even know what this roster is going to look like. There's probably still going to be one more addition in some form or another. And I mean, I don't know. It's a preseason tournament. Like, you can't have too high of expectations. I don't think you can be too low. There's a lot of new talent on this team. And I mean, I don't know. I think it'll just be fun to watch and play.
I think a really good game would be Illinois versus Duke.
Oh, would it?
Duke's gonna come.
I don't know about that.
Well,
I don't know.
it would be an interesting game to watch. The result would be
Yeah, I don't think that'd be very fun.
Yeah, but I mean, Duke's got the top 3 recruits in the country this year coming.
Yeah, I really don't know if I want to watch
2 young teams though.
I
It'd
don't
be
know if I
interesting.
want to watch Zion Williamson dunking on us. So
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna take a pass on that one, Ori. But
What you just said? It's too early to tell. What if Illinois
but
could beat
Zion
Duke?
Williamson?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
but the
and
top-
Cameron
the
Reddish.
top,
be
yeah,
so-
the top
Duke's
3
gonna be really
recruits in the
good.
class.
How
like-
about
all right, think
how
about
about
this.
against
Think
Gonzaga
about
or
this.
something?
We're very, 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 very excited about Io coming in, who's the 21st best player in the country. They have 3 of the top 5.
They have
They have
the
3 of the
top
top 3.
3 of the top 3. Okay.
R.J. Barrett, Cameron Reddish, and
Yeah,
Zion
so
Williamson
that's-
are the
that's
top
what I'm
3.
saying. Like,
Well, while we're on the subject of recruiting here, Tommy, would you like to maybe possibly speculate about who that one last addition might
Yeah.
be to Illinois?
I think the Jordan Caroline ship has officially sailed. I don't think that's going to happen. It's sad. I
I
mean,
saw Finke was out on a visit at Nevada.
Finke was just out in Nevada, and he was at Stanford right before that, too. So he got a couple of schools in out there over the weekend.
So maybe the Champagne boys reunite out in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, he could still come back to Nevada. In terms of us, I mean, the big rumor going around is that if Okoro does, this is Francis Okoro for those who don't know, Francis Okoro, if he does end up getting a high enough ACT to reclassify, then people are saying that possibly Illinois. I mean, I don't know. You'd love to see him there. There's no guarantees. Then the other big target right now is 4-star power forward Bryce Golden. He's a former Pitt recruit. He's signed on very early and just recently decommitted. He's down to 4 schools, and it was us, Georgetown, Syracuse, and
Don't remember the
Xavier,
fourth.
maybe?
Yeah,
No, it was Butler.
Butler. Okay.
And I know Georgetown just signed another big, so that might have knocked them out. I know he just went on a visit to Syracuse. They're working on trying to get us, working on trying to get him on our campus next week or so. So, I mean, that's still a possibility. So I definitely look for somebody that's probably going to be another big power forward, small center, that kind of deal to come back on board.
Yeah, one spot left for the Illini in their scholarship offers and availabilities as you're listening to Illini Drive here on WPGU 107.1, brought to you by the Illinois Fighting Illini. For tickets and info, make sure to go to fightingillini.com or call 1-866-Illini-1. Once again, fightingillini.com or call 1-866-Illini-1 for more ticket information. So besides the possible matchups in the Maui Invitational, like playing Duke, which could be and I say interesting
Could
in
be
that
an issue, is what you meant to say.
it could be an issue too.
Problematic, for sure.
Against Iowa State, against Taylor Horton Tucker,
That'd
who
be a fun
a
one.
lot of people thought was going to come here, but bragging rights in both basketball and football has gotten. I mean, Missouri and Illinois are just trading people at this point in the sense that, Garrick McGee just accepted a job with Missouri's football team. Mark Smith is going to play for Missouri now with Jeremiah Tillman. That bragging rights game next year is going to be even more intense than the one this past year.
The thing with that is I don't think we'll ever actually see them play together, because I bet you Jeremiah's got one more year and then he's done, and we aren't going to see Mark next year because of transfer rules.
Right.
So I don't think we'll. Again, this is speculation. That's my opinion. I just don't see Jeremiah Tillman going another year there.
There has been talk, though, about changing the transfer rule. Maybe it gets changed. Because
It's too
In
late
time for that,
It's
yeah.
too late for
Still
it.
plenty of bad blood there, though.
Oh yeah.
Because
no, I
even
mean, it
if
still
they
adds
changed
so
it,
much
it's
to
already
it.
been pen to paper, so it's already done.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that rule should be changed. That's a stupid rule.
Yeah.
Why do you need to sit out if you're
Right.
I don't know.
transferring? You know, Tyler Underwood had to sit out a whole year.
Well, that was also a second transfer. He was trying to get a waiver. Something ended up happening
Yeah.
with that. I don't know. It's interesting.
And like
I
the
don't-
waiver rules are so like arbitrarily enforced by
Yeah.
the NCAA too. That's why I think I kind of agree with Ori in the sense that they'd be
That's true.
the NCAA better off just like eliminating it altogether, the sit out rule.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the reason they do it is just so that, like, so say we get a guy like Io, and maybe he lights it up in his first year with Illinois, but we're still not a very good team. And then Duke says, hey, you know, we got a point guard spot open, and we're the best team in the country right now. You want to come play with us? And he could just snap his fingers and go like that to Duke, you know? I think it's kind of to protect the universities a little more than the actual athletes.
That makes more sense.
But, I mean, I don't know. I definitely think it could be modified. I don't think it's going to be in time. We're not going to see Mark Smith next year.
Right. So maybe it's modified after next season because it should be modified. Why do you have to sit out if you're transferring schools? It happens all the time. You know, if you want to, you know, graduate late or something, or, you know, take that year to actually play basketball, you're just going to be in school for that whole time. They came to play basketball. You know, they want to play. I think they should be able to play. I don't like the rule. But before we go to our second break here, just wanted to point out something that just happened in Major League Baseball. So Bryce Harper just hit a home run while his bat was breaking. And not just like, you know, a little snippet of the bat. The whole bat broke. The whole, you know, sweet spot of the bat, the whole actual bat broke as he was hitting the ball. He just was holding the handle. And get this, ESPN Stats and Info. Bryce Harper's home run traveled 406 feet, despite his bat snapping in half.
Yep.
That's further than his average home run distance this season, which is 401.
Yup.
What in the world? Amazing. So if you haven't seen it, go
It's
see
gonna look
it.
so good in Wrigley.
Yeah, it would look pretty good. And Aaron Judge, it looks like, just hit a home run for the Yankees against the Marlins because there's some baseball happening today. There's still a lot of games getting postponed because of this weather. The Cubs aren't playing again tonight against the Cardinals. So just some weird stuff happening in the
not
MLB. Yeah, because the winter's not over. It's not over. It needs to end. I don't like these 20-degree days in the middle of April. It's stupid. Just end. Give me spring. All right, we'll take a break now, and we'll go to final thoughts.
And that was your weather update from Ori.
Well, I always got to get a weather update. 6:35 here. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have some final thoughts, talking a little hockey, a little basketball, and maybe some more baseball and some football when we return to Illini Drive right here on WPGU 107.1.
You're watching Illini Drive on Urbana Public Television. Tune in Monday nights at 6 p.m. to listen live on WPGU 107.1.
Back to Illini Drive here. Quick little score update for all you sports fans. NHL playoff action has just resumed. The Bruins and the Maple Leafs have begun Game 3 in Toronto. No score right now, 6 minutes to go in the first period. The Blue Jays were supposed to play in Toronto as well, but their game got postponed due to a hole in the roof from snow because, again, the weather stinks. In MLB, the White Sox will play tonight at 9:05 against the Oakland A's. The Cubs and the Cardinals game was postponed. Some live MLB action right now. The Yankees are up 3-0 against the Marlins. Nats and the Mets are tied at 1. And also the Rangers coming off of Bartolo Colon's almost perfect game. They're down 1-0 against the Tampa Bay Rays at Tropicana Field. And NBA action resumes tonight in about 20 minutes' time on TNT. The Sixers hosting the Heat in Game 2. Philadelphia coming off of a Game 1 win where they scored 130 points. And Ben Simmons almost got a triple-double.
All without Joel Embiid.
All without Joel Embiid, who is also not playing tonight at Wells Fargo Center. Golden State also is going to play again and win again against the Spurs at 9:30. Let's go to final thoughts now. Let's start with Will.
Well, just, a little easy transition here. I'm super excited for the NBA playoffs. I've said this several times already, but team to look out for, I think, Thunder. I really like the way that the Big Three looked with the emergence of Paul George, and I think Melo's kind of been taking it easy all year just because, and letting Russell Westbrook really carry the load. And I kind of got that impression, watching the game. I think it'll be fun to see how those three do in the West.
Right. I think that Paul George has thrived the most under Billy Donovan in playing for the Thunder. I mean, he's a better three-point shooter. He's a better defender. He's had his career high in steals this past year. 8 threes yesterday, had 30-plus points. Playoff P is back. And he's been a great playoff player before. I mean, he's
a lockdown defender.
Great defender. I mean, Russell Westbrook also is just amazing. Steven Adams has turned into a high-caliber center. OKC, I think, will win the series against Utah. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is just another amazing player. Had an incredible Game 1, even though he stubbed his toe, as he said. He wanted to stay in. So, yeah, I think the Thunder was the most complete team in Game 1. Most impressive team from Game 1 for me is between Philly and Indiana.
I was impressed. I did not expect the Pacers to show up like that.
No one did. No one expected the Cavs to lose by 18 in Game 1. I mean, that was bad.
I mean, Lance Stevenson,
Trae
the LeBron
Young.
stopper.
Panic button, Ori?
No,
Trae Young,
no,
baby.
it's Game 1. It's fine. I mean,
You need
LeBron.
Trae Young.
No, we don't. LeBron said it himself. I mean, hey, we were down. I was down 3-1 in the finals and came back against the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. So this,
Of course he said that.
Of course he said
Would
that.
it break
Wanted
the
to-
internet if Lance Stevenson blew in LeBron's ear again?
He tried,
Probably.
didn't you see it?
He tried?
Well,
didn't-
so
went for
like,
it.
he went to like lean over, and LeBron was standing straight up, and LeBron just like looked at him.
yeah, LeBron did his part, just no one else did. Kevin Love wasn't making shots. He had like 18 rebounds or something and only like 9 points. Nobody else did their part either. So another day off tomorrow, and then I think the Cavs are playing their Game 2 on Wednesday. So some time to recuperate before going back in the land and playing Game 2, which I would expect the Cavs to win, but the only way Indiana can win this series is if every single player plays the way they did in Game 1, because they need an entire team effort. They can't just have Oladipo score 40 points and then Bogdanovich and Sabonis and Turner don't do anything. Everyone needs to step up on that team.
I mean, Turner's going to play well. Like, he's too
Yeah.
good not to. Because, I mean, the Cavs don't even have, like, a real center anyway. So Miles
No.
Turner's way too good and has the matchup.
Right. And also the Boston-Milwaukee game was insane. Did you guys see that
such
finish in
ridiculous.
That was
regulation?
wild, yeah.
I'm surprised Middleton got that shot off in time to
He's
tie
good.
it even.
He's so slept on.
Yeah.
Like he's a very good player.
He's a really good player. I mean, he scores a lot of points. He's a good three-point shooter, pretty solid defender. I still think the Bucks are going to win the series. I actually picked them to win the series.
I don't know. I mean, Marcus Morris played out of his mind in that first game.
Terry
He had
Rozier
some-
did too.
Yeah, Rozier's been really good since Kyrie went down, though.
He's been really good all season, in my opinion.
Yeah,
he's had
I mean,
some
he's-
very good
Tatum and
games.
Brown have been very good all season, too.
Right.
That's the thing is, like, once Gordon Hayward's back for the next series,
That's what I was going to say. Once those Celtics win the series and then
Right.
Gordon Hayward comes back,
Okay.
and Kyrie's like, you know what? I'll play. Why not?
I still fully believe Gordon Hayward's like coming back if they make it far enough.
Absolutely, I agree too.
I think conference finals, maybe he comes back.
I'm all in on
While
that.
we're talking about injured superstars, is there any chance Kawhi returns?
No.
No, because Golden
They're not
State's going to
gonna
sweep
they're
and
not
it
gonna
doesn't
make it
matter.
past-
Warriors are going to sweep him. Easy. No problem.
There's no reason for him to.
Unless Brandon Paul emerges and just scores 40 a game.
There's no reason for Kawhi to come back unless the Spurs make the finals. Because even if by some miracle they beat the Warriors, they're not beating the Rockets.
All right, so let me pose another question for you then. Is Kawhi going to play another game in a Spurs uniform?
No.
No, he gets traded.
Yep.
All
There's
right.
just no
I'm glad
way.
that we're all in agreement.
I saw someone from Boston Twitter say Kyrie Irving for Kawhi Leonard would be super interesting.
No. I don't
mean-
think that's a good trade for Boston.
Well,
I think it's okay.
He did preface it by saying, I wouldn't do it, but it'd be really interesting if.
I think it's okay for Boston
I was thinking about it too then, because
because Rozier looks good.
Tatum.
and they'll have Hayward
Smart's still
back next
fine.
year.
They'll have Hayward back.
Smart's a free agent this year, I
Big,
think.
strong wing
probably
players who,
resign him.
do a lot, contribute on both ends of the floor.
Like bring back Avery Bradley because Detroit
Yeah.
doesn't want him.
We'll have to see.
Didn't Avery Bradley get traded?
I think he did.
Yeah,
He's on
a-
the Clippers now.
He's on the Clippers now. Went to
Still,
Detroit.
They don't want him
nobody
now.
wants Avery Bradley anyway. Yeah.
Right.
He only plays well for Boston.
To Jake now. Final thought from Jake.
Just kind of going off of Will a little bit. Like the NBA playoffs have been really good. Like I'm not a huge NBA guy, but like when the Bulls aren't in it, but there's just a lot of very interesting storylines, like that I've kind of been keeping track of.
Have you been rooting for D Rose? Were you rooting
The
for D Rose?
Timberwolves look really
Yeah,
good.
I was rooting for the Wolves, not D-Rose specifically because he's still garbage.
There's
But
the Timberwolves and the Bulletins now. because
true.
of Nico.
the
and-
Pelicans looked really good too. Actually,
That for me is the only first round series that's going to go 7 games is the Pelicans and the Trailblazers. I
You
think
guys
that
keep
goes
pronouncing
7.
it wrong. It's the Bulletins
New Orleans then. New Orleans and Portland. How about that?
and the Bulletins.
Or would I have
no,
to
because I
say
feel like CJ
New
McCollum
Chicago?
and Dame Lillard are just gonna like kind of turn it on now.
Yeah, but Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday are
yeah.
playing really well.
I mean, Rondo looked
Even
amazing.
Rondo
Rondo
looked
looks like
good.
Rondo looked like playoff Rondo.
yeah, Rondo can average 16 assists in the series. No problem.
I think I brought this up a couple weeks ago, but if the Pelicans, like as good as they look, and even if they win this series, like, is that enough for them to say to DeMarcus Cousins, like, hey, do you want to come back and like take this team even further now?
see
I mean,
what-
I think he enjoys playing with
Yeah,
Davis.
I think he
don't-
does too.
I think he stays. Why would he leave?
But I still see a lot of people in Lakers Twitter be like, nah, he's coming here.
well, everyone on Lakers Twitter is like, we're going to get
Well, the Lakers
Cousins,
are gonna
we're
sign
going to get
everybody.
George, we're going to get LeBron.
They are going to get LeBron.
No,
so.
they're not.
No, Philly's getting LeBron.
Philly would
Oh,
get
right,
LeBron or Houston. He'll take a pay cut to play with Chris
No,
Paul.
he won't. LeBron will never take a pay
Let's
cut.
wait till the season's over or when LeBron's out, and then we'll actually say what's going to happen.
Oh, well.
Tommy, final thought for you?
I guess just Champions League soccer is awesome.
Oh wow, Tommy's doing soccer now.
Yeah,
I thought for sure he was going to go hockey, actually.
I mean, I could talk a little bit about both. I guess we got some time, but I mean,
Yeah.
I've been watching soccer for a little bit now. I probably got into it back around like October, November.
Yeah, once Liverpool
But I'm
became
like,
good.
I'm all. Whoa.
no, it was
I'm just-
after you heard the song.
I know. I'm just kidding.
No, it was before the song. I liked him before the song.
That's true.
I picked it up like because I
I remember
remember
it being like that week.
I mean, I had like been following. So back, I remember I went to the Notre Dame Navy game, and that was my first weekend I sat down and watched games.
Okay.
And I was into it. I liked it.
But anyways,
Anyways, Champions League soccer, for those who have not watched a lot, Jake, and I saw a little bit with Will. But I mean, those who haven't seen it, Champions League soccer has been awesome. I mean, these games are insane. Nobody really gave Roma a chance to beat Barca.
no one gave them
And then
any chance.
Juve almost beating
Real Madrid.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
like, that's just unbelievable. I mean, with those comebacks the way they've been going so far, I mean, I just don't. I'm very, very, very excited for these last two series.
Yeah, I think the semifinals are going to be really good. Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, they've played each other so many times.
Who do you think, Scott? Who's winning?
I have Madrid winning purely for the Cristiano Ronaldo X Factor effect. I mean,
Yeah.
Bayern's a really good team overall. They've been so under the radar all season long.
Yeah.
Like Bayern just casually won the Bundesliga last week, and everyone's like, okay, whatever. And then they just casually got into the semifinals of the Champions League again. But I just think Cristiano Ronaldo he's scored in 11 straight Champions League games. The guy is unreal. He's the reason Real Madrid has won 3 Champions Leagues in the last 4 years. He's the reason they can win a third straight. But Liverpool-Roma, I think Roma's a tough matchup for them, but I think Liverpool will be able to take it. If Salah scores, which he has all season, he's got 40 goals now after scoring on Saturday. I think we could have a Liverpool-Madrid final, which that would tear me
I'm
apart.
scared for it.
Yeah.
I do think that's what's going to happen. I agree. I would much rather play Bayern if it's the actual in the final. If it was over 2 legs, I would say I'd rather Madrid just because I don't
Yeah.
want to play in Munich. But I mean, Liverpool,
Well, the final's in Kiev.
right? But I'm saying like if it was,
Oh, yeah,
say
if it was
if
2
we had
legs,
gotten
yeah.
Bayern in the 2
Right,
legs
right,
in the semis.
Yeah, and just to give anyone who doesn't know about the Champions League perspective, this is basically every good team in Europe playing against each other for an entire season. And the final is watched by well over 300, 400 million people. It gets way more viewers than the Super Bowl. It is the biggest annual single sporting event in the world.
Yeah, I just watched Netflix just came out with a new little mini documentary series called like Legends of the Champions League or of the Premier League. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And I watched one on Jamie Carragher last night, and it was
Great
talking about
defender.
like that like 04, 05, and then 07 when when Liverpool was winning those.
Yeah, 07 we made the final, lost to Milan. 05.
No, 07 they won, didn't they?
No,
I
lost.
thought it was 06 they lost. They
No.
won 05.
05 was the Istanbul comeback. They were down 3-0 after the first half. They scored 3 goals to start the second half, 1 on penalties, and then Liverpool lost to Milan in 2007 3-1. Back in the days when Champions League finals were on a Wednesday afternoon, and I remember I couldn't even watch them live because I was stuck at school until the Manchester United-Barcelona final in 2009, the weekend of my bar mitzvah. My dad's like, let's just take you home early so you can watch the game. So thanks, Dad, for that. I appreciated that, especially because they're United fans, but Barca ended up winning. You're listening to Illini Drive here on WPGU 107.1. Brought to you by the Illinois Fighting Illini. For tickets and info, make sure to go to fightingillini.com or call 1-866-ILLINI-1. Wow, that was a good, insightful soccer conversation.
Talking soccer, baby.
But my final thought's hockey. Because
cool.
the hockey playoffs have been pretty intense. Not to mention the fact that the Columbus Blue Jackets are up 2-0 against the Washington Capitals after 2 overtime wins that made my heart sink and made my blood pressure rise to a level that I've never experienced before. Very intense games. The Blue Jackets always win playoff games in overtime. They're taking a 2-0 lead, going to Columbus tomorrow for Game 3. Washington, man. I just feel so bad for DC
Dude,
fans.
I don't.
I mean,
It's just weird. It's
just
the
like-
weirdest thing.
a whole city whose teams can't win a playoff series. I mean, it's like what Cleveland was until the Cavs won a title and until the Indians finally made the World Series again.
It's so weird. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, it's never the Caps here. Every year is the Caps here, but it's never is the Caps here.
The series is long from over, though. I think the Caps can
Yeah.
still come back and take it.
I mean, they could. It's definitely not out of the question. I mean, we've seen crazier comebacks, but I don't know. I just feel like this two two tough overtime losses in the first two games in your home stadium. That's tough.
That's really tough, and it's great that Columbus is doing it.
Columbus winning one of those games would have been a great start for them.
Yeah, but they got two of them.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like Obi's a great player. Burakovsky's out for the series now. I mean, it's tough for them.
Yeah, starting Grubauer.
Bobrovsky's just out of his mind right now.
Bobrovsky had 54 saves, 54 out of 58 shots. Grubauer should have come out earlier in that game. They put Holtby in at the beginning of the third. But Columbus is just a comeback team, man. Their offense is so good. Power play, too. Great.
I understand riding the hot hand, but how do you not start Braden Holtby for all of the playoffs?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
That's the same thing with New Jersey, is they have just been destroyed in these first couple games, and they're not starting Corey Schneider. They've been starting Keith Kincaid.
They're still not tonight, right?
I don't know about tonight.
I'm checking. The game just started. It's about 7 minutes in New Jersey. No score. Tampa Bay's got the 2-0 lead. Also, the Maple Leafs are up 1-0 at the end of the first.
Boston looks so good.
They are starting Corey Schneider.
Okay. Because in these first couple games, they've started Keith Kincaid, who, don't get me wrong, he's had a very good stretch of hockey. But, I mean, Corey Schneider is consistently one of the top 3 or 4 goalies in the league. I mean, he was one of USA's starters for all of the national competition in the last few years.
Right.
I mean, to me, it just doesn't make sense. Like, obviously, I mean, I guess you give the kid a shot, but, like, after game 1, when you see he's not playing well, why not go to Schneider?
Right. Tampa's got the 2-0 lead. Boston, for me, has been the best team after 2 games because Vegas has the 3-0 lead, but Vegas has had some tough matches against the Kings. Fleury's playing really well. Winnipeg got smoked last night. Nashville had 2 tough wins against Colorado, but the Avalanche are competing with them. Pittsburgh.
Those are good.
Yeah, but Pittsburgh, man. If Crosby and Malkin get 3 points in a game, they're gonna win by 6 goals.
Is that not what I said before?
You literally said that. Yeah.
I said if Philly can hold them under 2 points, 2 to 3 points each game, then they'll win. In that second game, when they end up dominating them, they shut them down.
Yeah.
And this Philly defense is so good between Provorov and Gostisbehere and all these other guys. I mean, they're very good. And if they figure out a way to get back to Crosby and Malkin like they did in game 2, I could easily see this going back to, 2-2 and then eventually possibly going 7 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be a 7-game series. I mean, all 3 games have been blowouts. Pittsburgh won game 1 like 7-0, was it?
7-0.
Philly won 5-1, and then Pittsburgh won 5-1 yesterday. They're not playing tonight. Nashville's playing tonight. San Jose, I knew the Sharks would take a 2-0 lead against the Ducks. Anaheim is just
that's such
so
a boring
overrated.
Series to me.
Oh, that's the only series that's like, wait, the Sharks and the Ducks are playing each other in the playoffs? Who cares? Because the games are so late at night. The only Pacific game times I would be compelled to watch is Vegas, but
they're about to sweep the Kings.
I think they'll sweep the Kings. I'm just so preoccupied with Columbus right now. Obviously.
I mean, when Columbus plays an actual playoff team, then you should get excited.
Washington is a team.
Exactly. They're a team.
Yeah, but they've won series in the first round. It's not like they just die out in the first round every year. They get to the conference semis at least. I'm just shocked. I mean, for a team that has never won a playoff series to go 2-0 up in D.C., against the Metropolitan Division champions, and Columbus, who had struggled parts of the season,
Columbus
and now
is
they're
winning
hot.
They're winning it in 5.
5, you say?
Yeah.
I'll say they win in 6. I think the Capitals get 1 in
they
Columbus.
might sweep them.
I would love if. I mean, don't
just
get me
feel
wrong.
like-
4-0 is great.
I feel like if you can't pull out either of those overtime wins at home, like that's just so demoralizing.
Ori, but I'm sorry, like Columbus isn't making it past Pittsburgh or Philly.
No.
They're getting steamrolled by either of those.
I think
teams.
we'd get past Philly. No way we would beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is our kryptonite. It's just not going to happen.
I don't know. Philly looks good against them.
Yeah, but if you don't
Looks
stop,
pretty good.
you don't stop Crosby and Malkin, you lose 7-0. You lose 6-1 every time.
So I mean,
It'd be a very good series.
but if Philly is able to do that to Crosby and Malkin, like who other than Panarin does Columbus have that they would have to shut down?
Let me take you back a step there. Did you say Panarin?
Yeah, I did. Okay,
Artemi
I'm trying to
Panarin.
get a point in
Artemi
here.
Panarin.
Got a lot of goal scorers. Cam Atkinson. We have Seth Jones.
Atkinson,
but, like-
Atkinson was disgusting last night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, our defenders score too. Seth Jones and Zach Werenski are
They've got
are
a
good
very
goal
good
scorers.
offensive defense. I'm trying to think. Who
And the
else.
best goalie in the league.
Is Kyle Connor playing?
No, he's
Is
not
he-
playing.
Is he on Columbus? No, I don't think.
No,
he is.
Nick Foligno got hurt, but he played in the second line last night. Nick Foligno's pretty good.
He's alright.
Dubinsky's pretty good.
Dubinsky's good.
I mean, Columbus has just a really good team in general, but for you guys who
Boone
are
Jenner.
Yeah, Boone Jenner's good. How about for you Blackhawks fans? Which team do you like the most right now?
I like watching Winnipeg. I mean, they're really fun, even though they're in the division. I mean, Line A is so fun. Shifley, Little. I mean, they've got an awesome team to watch. They're so fast and they can score with anybody. I mean, Line A looks like he could be a new Ovi once Ovi's done. Mm-hmm. Like I've said all year, I mean, I think Boston is probably the team to beat still. I think they look really good. Their offense is really fun. And Charlie McAvoy is the most fun young defenseman in the league. So, I mean, I don't know. It's overall pretty good playoffs. I mean, I was really surprised Minnesota played as well as they did last night. They beat Winnipeg, like 7-2?
6-2.
6-2. I mean, Nashville looks very good, but Colorado's a good team.
Colorado's playing well against them.
Bernier is stepping up a lot more than I thought he would, considering that he wasn't really playing for them much all year. But, I mean, Nashville's just one of the most talented teams out there. But, I don't know. It's a good playoff.
So few overtime games, though. Last year, I remember, I think the first
so many.
20 games, there was like 12 that went to overtime. There's only been 3 this postseason, the 2 Columbus-Washington games, and then the Game 2 between Vegas and L.A. Few minutes left. Quick last final thought. How about that Cubs comeback on Saturday? That was insane.
We're not going to talk about the perfect game.
Okay, and the perfect game, too. I mean, Bartolo Colon almost threw a perfect game against the freaking Houston Astros.
At 44 years old.
Yeah, but the reason I think he had a chance at doing that is because these guys are so not used to facing, here's an 80-mile-per-hour fastball, and then there's a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. It screws with your head, man.
He still has just like good control. Like he was using backdoor sinkers on the black to get strikeouts.
He's such a ridiculous-looking human being.
That too.
He's wild.
I love it.
When does he retire? When he's 50?
I think he's got at least 6 more years.
6 more years.
I mean, he's just pumping that 80 in there like it's nothing,
Yeah.
and people aren't hitting him.
Texas ended up
not like
winning the game.
It's not like he's going to be an ace. Like, he can easily be a solid 5th starter for another 4 or 5 years.
That's the thing. Like, nobody's counting on him to be, like, to throw a 2.5 ERA. I mean, they're counting him to pitch 170 innings a year and pump out a 4 ERA if they're lucky.
Does he retire once he's done starting, or could you see him like moving to the bullpen at some point?
His stuff's not playing in the bullpen.
No.
If he was still throwing 95, 96,
he picks up a knuckleball, which I could totally see him doing.
It's Bartolo, man.
Maybe he gets back on the steroids, starts pumping that 96, 97
That's
again.
true.
I don't know about that. I don't think that's going to happen. But that was
I don't know.
That was pretty incredible. The Cubs comeback was also, I mean, I think the Cubs comeback was mainly just the fault of the Braves just being absolute,
Incompetent.
Yeah,
incompetent
fielders.
It's funny. I mean, I was watching that game with my parents, and we were like, whatever, let's just watch the rest of the hockey game. And then I start looking on Twitter, and I see, 10-7. Like, what's going on? Then Javi hits the 3-run double, and we're like, we got to get this on. I end up watching the rest of the thing, and
gotta say, Javi's looking good. He's hitting the ball well. He's getting ribbies.
He's not hitting good for average yet, but I mean, that'll just pick up. Yeah. He just started out slow, but I mean,
hard contact.
Wait a minute. Was that just Adrian Gonzalez on the Mets?
Yes.
Yeah, Adrian Gonzalez on the Mets.
Okay. Anyway, Javi's
it's
always,
a thing.
Okay. Javi's always been a nice, really good gap-to-gap hitter, especially when he's patient like that. Like, that at-bat was so good. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's always been a clutch player, too.
His hitting has definitely improved. Also, a little tidbit. Aaron Judge did hit a home run for the Yankees, but he just became the fastest player to get to 60 home runs in MLB history. Took him 197 games. Previous record was held by Mark McGwire at 202. So Aaron Judge, 60 career home runs now after he just hit a home run against the Miami Marlins, who are terrible.
Yes.
Gave up, 20 runs against the Phillies a week ago?
Something like that.
And then Illinois softball.
The Phillies are pretty good, though. Phillies are like 9-5, I think.
There's some good teams. Pittsburgh's pretty good. The Red Sox are pretty good. The Mets are really good.
Yeah, or are you worried about the Red Sox?
I don't think the Mets are going to be good yet.
I'm very worried about the Red Sox. They're good.
I think the Mets are fake.
There's nothing fake about that pitching staff.
I think the Pirates are fake.
I feel like they're not going to stay healthy. They never do.
Oh, my standings just came up as they were loading, and I exited them out. I was about to look at who are the worst teams, but
what's Matt Harvey doing?
We're about over here. 7 o'clock. For Tommy, for Jake, for Will, I'm Ori Benatar. You just listen to Illini Drive here on WPGU 1071. Wow. Yeah, Tatiana Perry is shadowing Will. Well, she's just chilling.
That's why I'm taking
Maybe
over.
before the year's over, we'll get her to talk on air a little bit.
We need to make that happen.
She's been on the show.
She has been on the show. She's produced before, but she hasn't said one word on these airwaves. So that's our goal for the next month.
Matt Harvey has a 4.8 ERA.
Okay, Matt Harvey has a 4.8.
Not good.
Not good. So, For everyone in the studio, I'm Maury Benatar. Thank you for listening to Illini Drive here. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. If you want to re-listen to us or re-watch or listen to the Lou Henson interview again, if you missed it, you can re-watch this on UPTV at 9 p.m. on Wednesday and also be on YouTube on Urbana Public Television's channel. Have a good evening. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for another edition of Illini Drive at 6 p.m. right here on WPGU 107.1.